Hi y'all, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jessica and this is the Survivor's Guide to Life. This channel is dedicated to all things trauma, the brain, and healing. So if that's your jam, go ahead and click that subscribe button so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And while you're at it, jump over to Instagram where I post more stuff on mental health, mental wellness. Go ahead, follow me on Instagram. Definitely looking to get to that 10,000 follower count so I can get the swipe up feature and connect everything nice and pretty. That'll help me out a lot. So anyway, now on for today's topic. Okay, so this was not something I had planned to do originally, but after hearing this book, I'm addicted to audiobooks. And one of my favorite YouTubers who is a book reviewer, I guess, a booktuber, I don't know the lingo. Anyway, Clockwork Readers, I will tag her down below, recommended this book. And I've been following a bunch of her recommendations, so I checked out this one. So the book had a lot about sexual abuse and trauma, and because this channel is about trauma, I thought, oh my gosh, this is probably one of the best nonfiction books that I've read that gave some good information where I felt like you could really understand the experience of somebody who has experienced trauma. So what I'm going to do is kind of break down the book, play a couple of clips on the audiobook, and that's pretty much it for this video. So the book that I am going to be discussing is the book Sadie. Now again, I got the book on audiobook. I actually rented it from the library. But after hearing the audiobook, I want to buy the book and listen to it again because I thought it was that good. And I also want to go back to the States. We'll get a hard copy because the book is just, to me, was that good. And the book follows this, it's kind of like this murder mystery where, and it's told through two points of view, one being somebody, the family, and another person, I don't want to give too much detail, who are looking for this girl whose name is Sadie. And it also talks from Sadie's perspective about as she goes on the journey to find a specific individual. So the first group of folks, they don't know why Sadie left, they just are looking for Sadie, and Sadie's got a specific person that she's looking for. So one of the things that I thought was just so incredible about this book was the interplay between her past and her present, which is a hallmark of PTSD. Oftentimes, especially when triggers occur, survivors will conflate their past and their present, where they are the emotions, the trigger sends them in such a tailspin that they honestly really feel like they are reliving an experience, and this is what is called a flashback.
But a shower would be nice. When I'm finished, I pull on a t-shirt, and then I stand in front of the mirror over the sink. I press my fingers against the tender skin of my face, hissing from my reflection, my black eye and swollen nose. I turn the bathroom light off and stumble to the bed, crawl under the blankets. The comforter is heavy, and the sheet beneath it scratchy. My eyes close, and I feel the empty around me. Something I can finally fall into. But a small part of me just won't let go. I don't know how long I drift in that in-between place when I hear the soft click of a door opening. The threat registers slowly, and even when it does, I can't seem to surface for it. Then, the soft, shuffling sounds of someone moving across the room. I feel the gentle dip of the mattress as he weighs it down. His hand touches my ankle.
Sadie. Sadie girl. I'm just coming to check that you said your prayers.
The voice is soft and lulling. Not quite a whisper or a lullaby. I keep my eyes closed, my breathing even.
Oh, you're asleep. Well, okay then.
He sighs heavily.
I guess I'll go see if Maddie's said hers then.
I open my eyes.
Okay, so the first time I heard that, I was actually walking and thought that, oh my gosh, this person found her, she's being attacked, and then I realized she was in the middle of a flashback, and I thought that that was such a vivid retelling of the way that survivors experience these flashbacks. For her, it was just as she was falling asleep. So again, like, they can come up as traumatic nightmare. You know, trauma can come back to us in our dreams, but also it can happen in a moment. Just the fact that she took a shower, had a stressful day where she actually was assaulted, and then got into bed and had that heaviness, that weight, the intensity of the day finally settling in. And that was actually a trigger for her. So that once she got into the bed in this unfamiliar place, probably had some anxiety as well, that here comes this intrusive memory of being abused. Something else that I thought was just so interesting when I was listening to this audiobook was there was a point where a gentleman was talking to the grandmother of Sadie, and was mentioning how one of her mom's boyfriends had abused her, and the grandmother previous to that, before they discovered that he had been abusing her, she was mentioning how he was such a wonderful man, and she couldn't believe, why didn't Sadie like him, and she was harping up how amazing he was. And then they discovered what was going on, and I don't know, something about this reaction, I don't know, I just identified with so many of my clients' stories that I don't know, as a therapist, felt really connected and wanted to play it for you, and wondered what your reactions would be to this.
Daughter for one night, but Keith lived with him for a year.
I just can't believe what you're saying about him.
It's the truth.
Sadie must have told me every time she saw me how much she hated him. I didn't listen. I thought she was being a kid, but she was never a kid.
I just want to harp on the fact that children often do not tell us with words that something is wrong. They tell us with behavior. And her mentioning, when Sadie was a girl, she hated him, and I just never listened. Children don't just hate. As somebody who's worked with kids for a couple decades now, and even my experience here in Israel, where I've worked at a nursery school and I've been subbing here and there, and these kids don't know me. They don't hate me. They don't talk to me. They're a little wary at first, and then once they see other kids talking and like the adults around me talk, okay, she's a safe person, and they'll approach me. Very rarely do kids just out the gate hate somebody. It's just, they just don't. And so if your child is being really standoffish, especially if before they were going to this person and there seemed to be like not cohesive, but like a good relationship, and then suddenly your child's being very weary or apprehensive or anxious around that specific adult, your antenna bell should be going off. Something's going on here, right? I don't know, just the way she described it and what we learned throughout the story, so many of my child clients, and then later teens, and as they become teens or adults, and they talk about, why didn't my mom protect me? Why didn't grandma protect me? How come no one listened? How come nobody knew what was going on? Well, they weren't paying attention to those behaviors. And so I always talk about, you don't look to one specific behavior, but what you need to be noticing is a change in your child's typical behavior. That is a sign that something is off. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're being abused, but that something is going on for them. It's just like us, except as adults, we have more language capacity to talk about what's going on. A child doesn't have that same capacity, so their behaviors change. So you need to pay attention to their behaviors. If a child is being really parentified, like in this story here, because the mom was not a mom, you need to also pay attention to that too, right? If a child is taking on a parental figure and worried about, and oftentimes abusers will say things like, well, if you tell your mom you're going to worry her to death, or she has too much on her plate or whatever. So they play on the child's need, especially a parentified child's need and desire to protect the parent, which is just awful. And so that also goes into them not speaking up. So I just thought that this book was I'm not gonna share any more because I want you to read the book. It is definitely trigger warning, but I thought that the content was really good. There was some stuff that was not believable, and it was like kind of far-fetched, but there was little parts that she highlighted or that shone through that I thought, wow, this is stuff that my clients at some point in their treatment have told me a story like this or had an experience like this. And so I feel like if you're a survivor and you read this book, you're, wow, I'm not alone, I'm not crazy, you know, and that unlike what this character did, like, you can go get help, you can seek out counseling, and heal from the trauma, as opposed to like doing what she did. I'm not gonna tell you because I really want you to read the book. So that's all I have for today's video. It's just kind of my critique, my feedback on the book Sadie. If you've read the book, let me know. What are your thoughts? Do you have any questions? Anything that came up when you read the book? If you watch this video, go back and read the book and then come back and comment. Tell me what your thoughts are. Also, I'd love to hear it and have a conversation about it. I think it was a really good book. So that's all I have for you guys today, and I will see you in the next one.